wedding work, obviously, yeah. This is for fresh flowers, and it's just like a normal piece of foam that you would get, but they've actually made it into a bouquet holder.
Okay.
So this particular one they all have different sizes, and also they have different types of handles. So these bigger ones tend to be used for maybe the bride. So they hold a lot more flowers. I mean, that one's got a bigger space of foam. So if you were doing the teardrop shaped bouquet, like a shower bouquet, then the bride would either hold it like this, or some florists actually design it like that, so that hooks over the hand. So they hold it like that, or like that. These aren't reusable, they're actually glued. So once you've made holes, you can't do anything about it. So from a cost point of view, they're quite expensive, but they're quite good if you've got big flowers and lots of flowers, because imagine trying to fit lots of flowers in a small space. It can really, have an impact on the security of your flowers. So sometimes I always, for a bride, tend to go for the bigger one. Yeah, but you can have different handles. So this is the same, but the difference is this has been curved, and it's quite a thick handle, which not everyone likes because it's quite chunky. Whereas that's quite nice. Whoops, because it's quite slim, slimline one. I like these because they're reusable. So you just take the cage off, especially if you're practicing. You can buy refills, and then you would just place it in, and then you put the cage over the top. Some people don't like the look of the handle, and they haven't really come up with many different styles of these. They always tend to be white and plastic looking. Yeah, some people have done, see, this is done by cord, and it's been glued. So they started at the bottom and just worked up, and that's quite effective, but you could do ribbon as well. Some people have done organza ribbon where they've gone across the top here and done it tight, and then there's like a little frill at the top. There's lots of different ways you can do it, but as a sort of standard shop brought thing, that's how they look. You can buy metal ones, very, very heavy though, with quite a big handle again, so it's up to you. So for our design, this is a loose open posy in foam, and it will be one of your assessment designs, so you mustn't use this one for a task A. But the reason why we're doing it is because the one we're going to do wired is exactly the same, but a wired version. So we might as well make it first in foam.
So what would that be called? Wired?
Loose open posy wired. Yeah. So we've got, this is for usually bridesmaids. So the brief for your assessment is for a child bridesmaid. So you don't need to make a massive one because it's for a child assessment. And the time that they've given you is 50 minutes. That's quite generous. 50 minutes. So you need to think about how you can make your design distinctive, how you can use different accessories, different textures in it. To do a standard one, it probably only take you half an hour. So to use that 15 minutes up wisely, you can then get the higher grades, like your merits, distinctions. So it comes dry. If I was doing it for an order, I always tend to work with the foam dry first. And I glue my flowers into my foam. So I'd dip my flower stem into a bit of glue, and then I would place it into the foam if I was making it for an order. So it makes it nice and secure. Then the glue would dry by the time you've made it, and then I would run it under a tap and soak the foam after, so it's drinking. And that's usually how you would do it.
The glue wouldn't seal up the stem then if you're dipping it in?
No, it doesn't. No, it's just as you're pushing the stem in, the glue sort of tends to go around the side of the stem, and then it just bonds with the foam that's around it. Yeah.
So you're more or less just rolling it.
Around the edge bit. Yeah. It's just for that security thing, especially if you've got one with a trowel. The worst thing, the bride's walking up the aisle, and half the flowers are sort of down the aisle as well as she's walking. So it's that peace of mind thing that it's secure. But I wouldn't expect you to do gluing with this size, for the assessment. So we're going to soak it. So I'm just literally going to place it in your water. You'll see some bubbles. When the bubbles stop, you know it's soaked. If you are planning on doing a glue, obviously don't wet your foam. Your bubbles have stopped.
You wouldn't have time though with the assessment to do that.
50 minutes though, it's quite a lot of time, so it depends, yeah. So that's that. This is a bouquet holder. You can buy clamps that we've got at the back. They're normally about £60 clamps. They're quite good, but these ones just do the same job. and they're quite good. Because worst thing is, if you haven't got one of these at home, people have done bottles with sand in the bottom, just a wine bottle or a glass bottle.
What's the clamp for?
Clamps are good because you can adjust them, particularly if you're doing this style. Then see the tall metal thing sticking up the top. We can work on clamps at some point.
Really? That big?
Yeah, you attach the clamps to it. They're quite heavy.
I'd like to see like that.
Yeah, they're good but quite expensive. So if you're doing stuff yourself, you might want to invest in something like this, which is about £12, £10 to £12, or you can just do a bottle. But it saves you having to like keep holding it. It's something you can rest your hand, go back to your bits, pick it up, check it. So it's quite handy to have a stand. Okay, so it's for a child. So we're not going to go really, really big. But at the same time, we don't want to go tiny. Okay, so child bridesmaid, what sort of age would you say child is? Range?
6 to 7.
6, yeah, to 7, do you think? Yeah, I think if you start going 10s, then you're starting to look a bit more older bridesmaid. If you start going 3 or 4-year-old, maybe they're more a flower girl. Yeah, so this is a child. Maybe so visualise whether it's a 6-year-old or a 5-year-old or someone that you know. Yeah? I like to do my outside first, and you have to remember that that is the only bit of foam that you've got. Okay, so that's very small. So you've got to decide where you're putting stuff before you put it in. Don't put it in, take it out, put it in, take it out, because you end up with loads of holes. This is the lower area, and then I would say there's the middle, and that's the top. So again, that's quite a small area. So just to get my outside edge, I'm just going to go for 5 pieces of my level leaf. Now, if you've done the posy arrangement in a dish, it's exactly the same sort of concept really, but just in a smaller scale. Yeah, so I'm using my template, I've got 4, and I'm going to do 5. Take off a little bit of the stem. You don't want, like, for example, just to show you that much stem in there, because remember, all them stems crisscrossing is going to put strain on that foam. But at the same time, you don't just want like a tiny weeny piece because it might fall out. So it's finding that sort of suitable length really. And I'm going to place 5 pieces evenly round, slightly angling downwards a little bit. Got to work around the cage as well. Yeah? So like that, 5 pieces equally spaced. Then I will go back to a little bit more of this. I'm going to, level leaf is really just there to help with the shape. So slightly smaller. I'm now just going to work upwards. I don't want to go right in the centre because that's where my focal flower is going to end up. So I'm not going right in the centre, but this is just to really give you a bit of an idea of your shape and your size. Okay, so some little bits. Just around to get a bit of an idea where you're going. Just like that, yeah? And if you want an idea of your height, you can always put a couple of pieces, not right in the middle, but just a little bit higher, just in that centre part. Just to give you a bit of an idea of your height. Oops, what that's going to be. Now, we've got some roses and we've got some lysianthus. And I'm thinking I might use the roses as my main flower, my focal. I like lysianthus because it's got lots of buds on it. So I'm going to choose my most open rose as my focal. I'm going to use this one. Okay. Now, if you imagine this is your profile here, yeah? So your rose is going to go in the centre. This is where you've got to decide where it's going before you put it in. So you don't want it really, really low down like that. You don't want it really high up like that. It's sort of like a dome shape. I tend to hold it at this stage. I'm going right in the centre foam now. I'm going to place it until I'm happy. What's about there? Like that all the way around, like a curve of your hand. Okay. Then I'm going to sort of follow the level leaf with buds, or slightly smaller spray roses, and I'm going to place them on top of my level leaf. And what I'll do is I'll write on the board like a step-by-step guide, so just in case you sort of forget the stages, it might just help your memory.